It's a small introduction.
Let's see. DJ Mark Love. I've been a DJ for 33 years. Um, I've done everything from DJ for the Far Side. I've DJed for KRS One. Another brother by the name of Dred Scott also was the original DJ for this thing in LA called Unity, which introduced the LA basin to East Coast and underground hip hop. So stuff like Wu Tang, they first performed at Unity. Black Moon, Gangstar and Gangstar Foundation, they all performed at Unity before they did anything else here in LA. Some of them, their very first performances was here in Los Angeles at Unity.
Nice.
Um, Also, I helped create a concert series called Rock the Bells with Shane Weisberg. I helped him put together the acts, and I was also the one that helped him put together, no matter what Chang says, I know and everyone knows the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
I also helped him put together the infamous Wu-Tang reunion show.
Dope.
He had the Wu-Tang, and he had Redman, and I told him the other people he should put on the bill, which was Sage Francis, Idea and Abilities, Charlie Tuna Solo, all of that. Fantastic Four, which was on Power 106 at that time. So I was the one that told him, I filled in the blanks, basically.
Right.
And other than that, just being in hip-hop as a DJ for all that time, that's some of the things I've done. I don't like to brag about it, but you know.
Yeah, people need to know, man.
A little bit of intro. Also, I was a member of Universal Zulu Nation for 26 years.
Wow. That's a big chunk.
I know.
Big chunk.
Brought in by a brother by the name of Africa Islam and Zulu King Ed. Those are the people that brought me in, and I learned everything about Zulu. I was also a high-ranking council member of Zulu Nation. Not only was I in charge of the West Coast affairs, but eventually I was on the World Council charging world affairs of Zulu Nation.
Wow. So how does that work? What kind of hierarchy was that? There's a World Council, there's a East Coast Council, West Coast Council, North. South.
Well, here's the thing where it gets really confusing because a lot of stuff with Zulu Nation was never documented. So a lot of it was word of mouth. There was like the ranking. For instance, there was masters, from what was told to me by Africa Islam. There were masters, there were kings, queens, Shaka kings, Shaka queens, Akis, and Malikas. Now, that was put in some of the Infinity lessons, but the master title was never put in there. Only kings, queens, Shaka queens, Akis, and Malikas. So, we have our own security force at the time called Shaka Zulus, Shakas. They also had different branches, Gestapo, things like that. So they had the Shaka Queen, Shaka King, stuff like that, and they would be honored like regular kings or queens like myself. But they handled more of the security and the protection of the Zulu Nation. They were I really didn't see too much of a difference, except for one handled more security matters, and some was more educating the masses.
What kind of what security matters? What would they be?
Protecting BAM, protecting people protecting events when we had anniversaries, stuff like that. Security for the meetings, stuff like that. Because remember back in the day, it was always put out there that Zulu Nation would hold interventions for different gang mediations and stuff like that. So we didn't really. The only security that we really trusted was either Nation of Islam or our own security. So Zulu decided to have its own security instead of always calling Nation of Islam. Right. But we still was partnered with them, but still, we wanted to have our own. So we had Shaka Zulu put in play, and then after that, Zulu Warrior Security was formed. The first one that told me about Zulu Warrior Security was Africa Islam, because I was a member of Zulu Warrior Security back in the late 80s. Wow. And then another brother also restarted the Zulu Warrior Security for the new era from New York. He was also an Islam brother, Muhammad Islam. So yeah, so we had security for protection of certain events. Right. Every now and then, back in the day, I know New York would go through this. Every now and then, New York would have wars, beefs. There were some people that looked at Zulu Nation as encroaching on their territory, so we had a beef with a sect called the Ball Busters, and can't really talk too much about that. But we had also a beef with in New York. Had a beef with the Nation of Gods and Earths because of we were doing things
type of thing.
We were doing things where they were doing, for themselves, and they would greet each other certain ways. They would talk about certain ways, and we would do the same thing, but we put them under another name. And a lot of those Nation of God 5%ers was thinking that we were stealing from their way of life without their consent. So it was a problem. It was a big problem. And that's what was told to me. I don't know if that's the real, but that was what was told to me. And that that war was really, really long and really big.
Really big.
And we needed security for that because, we didn't want it to where Zulus was walking down a certain borough and get hemmed up by a bunch of 5%ers.
Tell me some of the things that you were involved in as a Zulu member. Like, what kind of activities as the organization would you engage in for the community, for events?
Well, there were different sides of Zulu when you got involved with a chapter. Now, me, I was a special case. Africa Islam, when he came out here to do Open Zulu, he didn't open it as a chapter. He opened it as a headquarters. So what he was in LA was the West Coast headquarters of Zulu Nation. So when he left, and he slid the leadership to Prince Whipper Webb, Brother Gordy B, rest in peace, Brother Troy, and none of them really wanted to take the leadership role on. So he slipped it to me, and I was more than happy to do it. But I realized, because everybody was saying chapter, 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 I was instructed, you're not a chapter. This is not a chapter. This is a headquarters. You're over everybody on the West Coast. So, with that being said, what I was supposed to do was I was supposed to make chapters, make chapter leaders. So that's what I was doing. There was a lot of power struggles and stuff, but what my main purpose is to open different chapters in different parts of Los Angeles. Because in Los Angeles, Los Angeles has a big county.
Right.
So I needed to have a chapter in Bell, have a chapter in Long Beach, have a chapter in OC, have a chapter, in all the little cities that's surrounding Los Angeles, plus a Los Angeles chapter.
Right.
So that was my job, is to make chapters in all this big city, all these little chapters. So that was pretty much my job, and teach these brothers and sisters, the ways of Zulu. So I'm trying to make these brothers and sisters not just members of a chapter. I was trying to make them into chapter leaders. So that means I have to teach teachers, pretty much.
Right.
That's not easy.
Right.
That's not easy at all. So I ran into opposition. I ran into people that not understanding. But that was my sole purpose, my sole job. And because I put together some extraordinary chapters, I was, elevated and promoted to another level by this brother named Yoda. He basically fought to have me be on the World Council, and that's how I went from transition from being in charge of LA to the World Council, because I was doing some good stuff, and it was being recognized.
Nice.
So so my job was pretty much to make chapter leaders.
Chapter leaders, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What about Yoda? I remember Yoda. I remember hearing about Yoda. What's up with him right now?
Yoda was a member of the Supreme World Council. And he pretty much had some things happening with him. Me and him had a falling out, let's just say. He'll say that, I caused it because I was saying things I wasn't supposed to be saying. I'll say that he caused it because he lied to me about a lot of things. So we're just not getting along. So even though we were best friends, I guess right now we realize we're better being out of each other's lives than in each other's lives. So that's the way that rolls. But the one thing I will never, ever, ever, ever take away from him is the fact that at a time when Zulu was coming up, changing or whatever, or was even going through crazy stuff, he was trying to do things to make some things better. Some people will say better for himself, but I think he was actually trying to do things that was trying to be better for the nation. And I think that a lot of times, it just got misguided, and some stuff got misguided, some got misrepresented, and yeah, there was some personal stuff that he wanted to do, and he has to take responsibility for that. But it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he right now, he got pushed. They were pushing him out of Zulu at one point when we had our falling out, and he stepped away. Just to be a regular Zulu. And then I heard recently he came back as a Supreme World Council member. I wasn't too happy about that, but I heard it was like some really hush-hush sneaky stuff. And I wasn't really happy about that, but it wasn't put out there to the masses that he was back on Supreme World Council, because it was put out there to the masses that he did wrong behind Zulu Nation. But it wasn't put out there that he was back. So I was like, okay, it's not cool, I know ever since the things that went down and he had to step away from Zulu Nation, the whole council, Supreme World Council did, I know he's probably hurt because he looked at Bambaataa as a father figure. He really did look at him as a father figure, and I know he's probably hurting right now. And there's a lot of things I really wish I could sometimes I kind of wish I could call him up and talk to him, but it's too much bad blood there. Too much bad blood between me and him. But, one thing I will say to him through this, the one thing I will say is the fact that I will never, ever not give him credit for bringing me, further along than I ever been in my life. And, that's the one thing I'll never, ever discredit him on. If this was $1 million organization, I totally get it. But 43 years, they have nothing to show for anything.
Too busy paying people up.
Right, but they're acting like this is Lincoln Savings or Enron or something. This is nothing.
So yeah, people seem to have that idea about Zulu Nation, that they're very wealthy, that Bambaataa be throwing money around, paying people, sending people bail money, jail money, stuff like that. That's what I've just heard around, and people have that idea.
Brother, Zulu ain't got shit. Being somebody who takes command of your community and control your community so that somebody can't come in and control it for you. I believe in that, and I think that's a very good idea. However, with everything that has taken place as recently, there's things that I know that I cannot speak about on camera or anywhere else, but there's things that I know that has made me say I cannot be a part of the nation no more. So I resigned from the nation a week ago. Actually, I left the nation before that because of corruption and a lot of other stuff. But now I recently came back because some good brothers had asked me to come back and help clean out the nation from BAM and Supreme World Council as a consultant. But looking at the actions and the things that's going on with the nation now, I can't with all good conscience be a part of it. I can't be a part of the people that's behind it and running it now or trying to run it, because I think, and this may sound very corny, but if you have anything behind you that is questionable, you should not be trying to take a leadership role, because first time you're going to say something or do something, your past is going to catch up with you. And if you don't admit it yourself, then somebody else is going to admit it, and it's going to be worse if somebody else finds out about it than you coming out saying it. Things are not being put out there in the open. And I think with Zulu Nation being a public organization, because it's something to where people can apply for, pay their little money, whatever, and become a member. And that's anybody in this space we're even at right now. That's you, that's her, that's everybody. Mm-hmm. So because we're a public organization, why do we have so many fucking secrets? Why do we have so much stuff covered up? We shouldn't. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, when you continue to keep coming on with a different leadership that wants to hide things, and then another leadership that want to hide things, you're basically telling everyone you're a liar. You don't believe our organization, don't trust anything we're saying. So I'm looking at the organization now, and even though I know the people that's in play, I think they're going about things the wrong way. I think they're taking leadership the wrong way. And plus, I also think that Bambaataa is not gone because he does own the name of Zulu Nation. I don't think he's gone from Zulu Nation because he does own the name. And I think he has people working for him as leaders of Zulu Nation. In good conscience, I cannot be under something that a man who's been accused of pedophilia to be residing over and still to this day has not confronted his accusers publicly. He needs to confront the accusers. There needs to be a sit down. And be honest with you, there needs to be a sit down, and we need to get one of the greatest mediators of all, Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, to sit in the middle of that. Because there can't be any bullshit after that. You know what I mean? It has to be one or the other. It has to be either you did it or you didn't do it. It can't be you're gonna lie to the Nation of Islam. That's been your backing for 40 some years. Can't do that. What are these accusers gonna lie to the Nation of Islam? That's gonna mess up their lives for the rest of this life. You know, that's B. Stinger, Ron Savage, and Hassan Campbell, aka Poppy. So my thing is, until these things happen, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be a part of this leadership. Until we have a thorough cleansing of everything, I don't want to be a part of it. Now, another Zulu came to me just recently and said the public perception is now killing Zulu Nation, which means the name is now dead. I disagree with that. I think the name can be salvaged if we get rid of the entities backing the name. That's the part we need to do. There needs to be 2 words that needs to be put in the English language when it comes to Zulu Nation and other things. Let go. There are some people out there that just won't let go of the past. It's 2016, not 1973. Let go. If this nation is too new for you, if you still want to follow Bambaataa, do your own thing and follow him. It doesn't have to be under this name. The fact that Bambaataa is keeping a name, to me, it looks like he's hiding behind it. That's not cool. Don't hide behind people that has the innocence of doing what they thought was the righteous thing to do. Don't hide behind these same people, because these people are putting together chapters and doing stuff in the community because they thought this is what they're supposed to do. And now we have somebody who's being accused of being a pedophile. What can we do? You know, what can we do? What can they do now? All they can do is say he didn't do it or he did do it. So it's like when you have one person accusing, okay, but when you have a multitude of people, and there's even more people that is not publicly talking, and there is, that has crossed my ears, I mean, I can't in good conscience sit here and say, Zulu, Gestapo, and what's the name of this nation? Who's going to get on down Bambaataa? I can't do that. Because right now, there needs to be truth with everyone. And if the old schoolers don't want to give the truth, then they could be on lockdown, because they say the truth can set you free, because the truth is the key. Well, they're always going to be locked away because they're not trying to own the truth, they're not trying to hear the truth, and they're not trying to believe in the truth. The truth is the reality, and they don't want reality. So that's why, to me, the best reality I can give is to walk away from it, to start something new, if possible, or to basically take the characteristics that I learned, the infinity lessons, and live every day. And I don't think the hip-hop community should be scared of the word Zulu. We're giving it too much power. And this is what I mean. The word Zulu comes from, of course, the tribe in Africa. That is the original intent and meaning of the word and the name, Zulu. The fact that people don't want to call it Zulu, people don't want to say the word Zulu anymore, you're getting a little oversensitive. Chill out. Because what you're doing is you're forgetting the original meaning of the word. I'm not going to release that word from my vocabulary. Are you kidding? I'm not going to give anybody that power over me to make me say, I don't want to say the word no more. No, that's giving somebody power. Unadulterated power over your own vocabulary. Come on, really? Because somebody abuses dogs, I'm not gonna say dog anymore. No, the fact is, he abused his power, he abused his rights. Then we get him out of the way. We separate the man from everything else. The man is no good. The men are no good. So, okay, what do? We live day by day doing what we do. We don't pine on one thing. We don't sit back and go, oh, well, we don't sit back and go, oh, well.
Okay, thank you.
We don't sit back and we go, oh, well, I can't do anything because Zulu, the word Zulu is what keeps me here. No, Zulu does not keep me here. The characteristics of doing right is what keeps me, And I think that's what we need to separate. And I think that's what people aren't doing. So don't be a prisoner by a word. And don't be a prisoner by a man's actions. Separate. And when you're able to separate, you can go on with life. Be your own person. Some people are born to be leaders and some people are born to be followers. If you're born to be a follower, that's fine. Choose who you follow very carefully. Because that's even right, because that's even a leadership role. See what I'm saying? So everybody has a leader in them, they just don't know how to deal with it. So understand, overstand, forget that. Understand what you are and where you're going. And that's how you know where you're at, and that's how you know where you're gonna go from the future. I know that where I was at was Zulu Nation, but now it's tainted. I still admire and respect the name Zulu because I know the real true meaning of it. And I'm going to go on in life with my radio show, Zulu Tribe Radio. I'm going to still follow Ninth Wonder, who's Black Jedi Zulus, and 206 Zulu, because Zulu isn't a word, it's a thought, it's a feeling, it's a movement. And now Zulu Nation is a chink in the armor. So what do we do with that? The movement's still there. We just had to push them out of the way. Yeah. They tripped. They fell. They stumbled. We move forward. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not moving forward as Universal Zulu Nation. I'm moving forward as DJ Mark Love, Zulu for life, warrior. Zulu means to me unity, strength, numbers. And I look at it that way as, I'm trying to unify the masses in the numbers with music. I'm trying to basically fight a common enemy, trying to pull everybody together to fight a common enemy. And the common enemy is ignorance. Ignorance of the hip-hop culture. That's what Zulu means to me. That's not the meaning for Zulu Nation. That's Marcus McLaurin's meaning. And that's the meaning I'm going to take with me. And that's why I'm telling everyone out there, they should have their own meaning. Don't let Bambaataa give you a meaning. Don't let Zulu Nation give you a meaning. If Zulu doesn't mean anything to you, don't let it mean nothing. But if Zulu means something to you, don't let Bambaataa weigh you down with crap. Hold fast. Be about yourself. Your chapter is yours. That's your name. That's your chapter. You don't have to be under Zulu Nation. You don't have to be under Universal Zulu Nation. Each chapter, in my opinion, is their own business. Treat it like that. Treat it like it's your business. It's yours. Because it is. It's not Bambaataa's, it's yours. You name your chapter, put that name under a trademark, do what you do. Take some of the lessons. Some of the lessons are cool. Take life lessons. Do things that you would do as a Zulu, but now you're doing it as your own entity. We need more nonprofit organizations doing right.
Especially in hip-hop.
We really do, exactly. So I look at each one of these Zulu chapters as now their own nonprofit organizations. Start them up. Black Jedi Zulus is one. 206 Zulus is one. Honolulu Zulus is another. Yeah. These are not Zulu Nation chapters. These are now businesses. These are now nonprofit organizations. They're doing stuff for the community, feeding the community, doing b-boy battles, walks for autism. Calafia Zulus is another one. These are all people that are standing on their own 2 feet, and that's what all the Zulus need to do. Straight up.
Awesome.
Don't get discouraged over one man's mess. There it is.
All right. See if they're gonna kick us out.
No, they're gonna totally kick us out.
Oh, they're awesome. Over here.
Yeah, they're gonna watch us.
Do you want to say anything towards Bambaataa personally? If he was here, what would you say to him?
Brother, the truth need to be heard. The truth need to be heard. And if you don't want to tell the truth, step back quietly and let people do what they need to do for their communities. Because you know, if you're telling the truth, fine. But if you're not telling the truth, bruh, you need to just stop this and just stop all this and just back up and do your thing on your own. Just stop. Just stop and let people do what they do in their communities, man, because this is not right. It's not fair. You need to understand what your words and what you're doing has an impact on everyone else that has celebrated you, including the hip-hop culture.
Word up. Thank you. Word
No
up.
problem, brother.
Appreciate it.
Done dealy.
Yes, sir.
Hope that's enough.
That's good. We're leaving right now.
Okay.